Welcome back to English Podcast 1. I'm your host Almina, and today's episode is a very special one. We're diving into personal stories, and joining me is someone with a powerful experience to share. Please welcome David.
Hi Amina, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
You know, David, I was thinking the other day about all those tiny moments that change everything. The train you just barely catch, the person you decide to talk to at a party, the job you don't apply for.
I do that too, and it always ends with a headache. It's like staring into a hall of mirrors where every reflection is a slightly worse version of you wearing a different shirt.
Exactly. But what if you could walk into one of those mirrors just to see?
I'd probably break it, but go on, you've got that look. You have a story for this, don't you?
I do actually. It's about a woman named Elara. It's not my story, but I feel like I know it. She was in her late 20s, feeling utterly stuck. Her life was a checklist of mediocrity. A job she was indifferent to, a relationship that had run its course, and this constant buzzing anxiety that she had taken a wrong turn somewhere. But the map was gone.
Oof, I think everyone knows that feeling on some level. Is this really it? Feeling?
Precisely. One evening, after a particularly devastating day where she was passed over for a promotion she didn't even really want, she was just wandering the streets. She wasn't going home, couldn't face her boyfriend's disinterest. And then, it started to rain. Not a gentle drizzle, but a proper, angry downpour.
Of course it did, because the universe kicks you when you're down.
Always. So she ducked into the nearest doorway for shelter. When the lightning flashed, she saw the sign above her, the Midnight Library.
A library, at that hour. Was it even open?
That's the strange part. The door was unlocked. She pushed it open, more to get out of the rain than anything else. Inside, it was vast, ancient, and smelled of old paper and wood polish. And it was empty, except for one person.
Let me guess, a mysterious old librarian with glasses on the tip of their nose.
Not old. She was perhaps ageless. Mrs. Elm, she said her name was. She was sitting at a giant ledger, and she said, "Elara, we've been wondering when you'd arrive."
Okay, that's creepy. Who's we?
Elara asked the same thing. Mrs. Elm just smiled and said, "Every life is a universe of possibilities. Every choice you make opens one door and closes another. This library is a collection of all the books of the lives you could have lived."
Whoa, hang on. So every book on those endless shelves is a different version of her life?
Exactly. The big leather-bound book on the desk was her root life, the one she was currently living. It was full of her regrets, big and small. I regret not pursuing music. I regret staying with Mark. I regret not going to Australia when I had the chance. And Mrs. Elm explained that each of these regrets was a doorway. She could try a life where she made a different choice.
That's an incredible amount of power. I'd be terrified. Where would you even start?
She started small. There was a man, Leo, she'd met years ago at a conference. They'd had an amazing connection, but she was too shy to give him her real number. She gave him a fake one. It was a tiny, silly regret that haunted her.
Oh no, I've done that. The what-if person.
Mrs. Elm found the book. The title was something like The Life, where she gave Leo her real number. She told Elara the rules. Enter the life, experience it. The book will stay here. If you are truly happy and have no regrets in that life, you can stay. If you want to return, just come back to the library. But the library only exists at midnight for her.
So it's like a trial run for every decision you ever got wrong. I'd never leave.
So, she opens the book, and she's there. She's in a beautiful apartment, sunlight streaming in. She hears a voice from the kitchen. It's Leo. They're together. They're married. He's making coffee. He kisses her and calls her love. For a moment, it's perfect. It's everything she thought she wanted.
But
Later that day, she's trying to find a pen in her desk drawer, and she finds a brochure for a music conservatory. In this life, because she was with Leo, she never moved to the city where she took the boring job. She never even applied for it. She was a music teacher, and she realizes she doesn't own a piano. She hasn't played in years. In chasing one regret, she had to sacrifice another dream.
So no life is perfect, you can't have it all.
It seems that way. Disheartened, she waits for midnight, and she finds herself back in the library. Mrs. Elm is there, waiting, with a gentle, knowing look.
So she tries another one, right? Of course she does.
She goes big this time, the life where she became a rock star. She's famous, wealthy, playing to massive crowds. It's exhilarating, but it's also lonely, grueling. And she's estranged from her family. Then she tries the life where she moved, to Australia. She's a marine biologist, which was her childhood dream. But she's also incredibly isolated, missing her friends, and she never met Leo. Every life has a missing piece, a trade-off.
This is getting depressing. It's just showing her that every path leads to some kind of disappointment.
Or, it's showing her that the idea of a perfect life is an illusion. She tries a dozen lives. Some are wonderful in ways she never imagined. Some are utter disasters. In one, she's an Olympic athlete but has a chronic injury. In another, she's a best-selling author, but is crippled by anxiety. She even tries a life where she has children with her current, disinterested boyfriend, and sees how unhappy that entire family is.
So what's the point? To just give up and go back to her mediocre life, knowing it's the least worst option. That's a horrible lesson.
Wait, as midnight is approaching, the library begins to feel unstable. The shelves start to fade. Mrs. Elm gives her one last piece of advice. She says, Lara, you have been looking at the regrets in your root life as anchors, as weights. But they are not. The fact that you feel regret means you care. It means you have desire. You long for something. That is not a weakness. It is your compass. Don't choose a life because it has no regrets. Choose a life because it is yours to build upon.
It is yours to build upon. I like that.
Lara looks at her root life book. It's not a prison sentence. It's a foundation. It's the only life where all the possibilities still exist. In the rock star life, she can't decide to suddenly become a marine biologist. But in her root life, she can still learn the guitar. She can still book a trip to Australia. She can still leave her boyfriend. The potential was never in the other books. It was always in her.
So the Midnight Library wasn't about finding a better life. It was about appreciating the raw material of her own.
Exactly. She didn't need a different past. She needed a different future. And she could only build that from where she was. Right then, the library faded away. She was back on the rainy street, but everything was different. She was drenched and shivering, but she was smiling. She felt a sense of power she'd never felt before.
What did she do?
She went home. She ended things with her boyfriend. The next day, she quit her job, and she signed up for piano lessons. She didn't have a grand plan, but she had direction. She started building the life she wanted, one choice at a time, using her regrets not as burdens, but as a blueprint.
That's actually a really good story. It doesn't have a fairy tale ending.
No, it has a real one. It has a beginning.
So what's the moral? Stop wondering what if.
So what's the moral? Stop wondering what if. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for telling it.
That's it for today's episode of English Podcast 1. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, stay curious and keep learning.